عليه وسلم ما من عبد مسلمين يأكل إذا أمسى وإذا أصبح ثلاثا رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبمحمد النبيا صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كان حقا الله أن يدي يوم القيامة is reported on the authority of Thawban that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if a Muslim says the following supplication 3 times in the morning and in the evening, Allah has made it incumbent upon himself to please him on the doomsday. I am satisfied with Allah as my Lord, Islam is my religion, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam as the messenger of Allah. Hopefully we all feel this with a deep feeling of consequence and reality. The title today is Historical Update, because we would just like to mention a few of the things that we have, a few of the themes that we've constantly harped on for years. And whether we know it or not, we're living in one of those great transitional periods of history. This is a great transitional period of history. And no matter what anybody thought about us, when they measure up what we have discussed over the past years and what's going on in front of our eyes, that is in the historical process, then they will be able to highlight a few of those passing things and associated with what we've been, where we've been all the time. I would also like to talk a little bit about our national place within the struggle. It could be our natural place or our national place. Where do we fit in all of this, what's going on? Not only in America, but the rest of the world also. Needless to say, when we get into the process of anticipation of things that are going to happen in the future, expecting or expectations, that is some kind of way being prepared for the possibilities of things happening very close to or even almost exactly as predicted. In other words, many people would have thought over the passing years that we've been going out on a limb. We've been forecasting and predicting things, making statements that are physically unsubstantiated at the time. But when you make a forecast, that means you anticipate, you look forward to, you expect things to come out the way that you have forecast and predicted because your analysis, the time, place, and circumstance in which you live. And if your analysis is correct, the accuracy of your statements and conclusions will be verified by the historical process itself. Now, we know that Allah says in the Quran, travel in the earth and see what was the end of those before you. Travel in the earth that you may gain knowledge. Now, we take traveling in the earth, not only physically traveling, which we have been to technically most parts of the world, or many parts of the world. And that means that we have had to study many parts of the world. The anticipation and expectation and the platform that you put forward many times is based on your accumulated history of the environment in which you live. Just to walk it back a little bit, today, if you were to watch the news or listen to the American news, they would tell you how bad things are going for Russia in Ukraine and everywhere. That they're being miserably destroyed, their plan is not working, they're off pace, off beat, and that Ukrainian forces are rallying behind the leadership. American weapons are flooding in and turning the tide. If you were to listen to that, you would be thoroughly misled. But a cursory view, a quick view of what's been happening in Ukraine and some of the responses, or should have been expected responses. If you watch the news, it would be today one of the biggest strikes in British history over the last 30 years is taking place right now in the UK. Trains are not running. It's a strike. They're striking because inflation, their jobs is not paying enough. The people are just coming out of coronavirus. All of these things. But the biggest thing is the inflation. And the inflation is hitting them because, number one, if we take Britain, they just jumped up arrogantly and jumped out of the union that they had going on, which was bad enough. And that's messed up transportation and all that. But I'm talking about the historical process like that's right in front of us right now. There's strikes right this minute. Why are people striking? Let's take the number one thing would be inflation. Why is there inflation? There's inflation because the the UK's big supplier, or Europe's big supplier, of energy, agricultural products, and all of that come from Russia and Ukraine. Well, all of a sudden, if your big cross the ocean personality is telling you you have to cut off all access and everything to Russia. And suppose you tell that to all of your NATO allies. And we might as well bring in Germany, the greatest economic reality in Europe. And Germany gets, I don't know, one of those huge percentages of its oil, of its natural gas. It gets that mostly from Russia. And if you cut all of that off, pretty soon your society is going to begin to crumble. Now, we got huge, I just went to the store, good God Almighty. That's here. It's unbelievable. I mean, have you felt that too when you go to the what y'all ought to do is knock out all of that stuff down there.
All right, shoot. That's what I'm about to start doing.
Hey, man, shoot, what that? Man, I would be knocking off.
I'm feeling bad. I don't know why I just be feeling bad. Maybe
No, but it's overwhelming. We have so much. For instance, canned goods. So of course, we all like fresh vegetables, but for a while, we could survive with a few canned goods. You know what I mean? If we have pans of chicken left over and all of that, hey, why, just, in other words, now that's us, we got it. Technically, I feel it because I buy a lot of accessories.
Right, yeah.
I buy a lot of accessories for what we, okay. Other than that, but we live in a world where people don't have accessories and they don't have access when there's no food in the refrigerator. That means they're not going to have a pleasant meal. And now a pleasant, balanced meal. I'd like to mention that the United States government and this administration, we've had 2 tragic administrations in a row. They were all tragic, but I mean, in recent, from Vietnam era on, they've all been tragic. It's just a record of tragedy. But what I mean is, the last 2 or 3 administrations have been headed by what we might call crackpot administrations. And they're managed by crackpot behavior. I mean, it's like the poor old man is older than I am. And I know when you get a certain age, you can rip and run, but you need a certain amount of rest. You're just not that 24-hour a day. personality. And when you look at that poor man and his behavior, the whole world is laughing at him. They're laughing at his behavior. They're making cartoons about him. And in all places, one of their main allies, Saudi Arabia, is they're not responding anymore. Like if you're getting phone calls from somebody and your friends can see that you're not answering the phone because you kind of got an idea that's who's calling, they're going to get a certain attitude about the people that they know is calling you. So when the world, for us, this is not a surprise, but you got to remember, look, this stuff is happening to the United States of America. It had decades to plan for it, to make preparation, but it has to be, they're not making preparations for it now, so therefore, there could be no pre-planning because they didn't expect the things that are happening today to happen. Okay, now the poor American citizen and the people that they're leading will pay the price. Therefore, if you look at Europe, the people are asking in London, we're sending millions of dollars to Ukraine and we're starving to death. What is wrong with, wait a minute. They're sitting there scratching. They said, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with my government? That's why they're striking. Everybody's striking. They're having real strikes. And when you have a rail strike in Britain, because a lot of the transportation is by rail, because the country is so small that you can go anywhere. If you're traveling around London, you can park your car because you don't need to drive. It's so well hooked up in the subway system, the underground. It'll take you anywhere, and it'll take you in little or no time at a reasonable price. You can even get one of them special tickets. When we'd have programs in London, they would say, okay, if you guys want to get on the metro, well, you can buy a trip ticket, that's good for so many trips. And it's cheap, Or you can pay the instant price, which is $1 zillion. The right thin price, how much is it to get, Paddington? Oh, Paddington is 500,000 crowns or whatever. Not really, but you know what I mean. It's a lot. If you get it a trip ticket, anyway. So Britain right now is they're having strikes today, big strikes, not small. And it's an accumulation of things. It is inflation for sure. But the UK have had structured things of their own that's causing people to, when you mix it with the virus and when you mix all those things together, the world economies is not doing well. And if you jump up and sanction or cut off your flow of material from one of the biggest suppliers in the world, then your heating is going to go up. When your heating goes up, your oil, transportation, everything is more. Okay, when that transportation goes up, that means shipping now used to cost a lot. So if you get an orange from California in California, you can buy oranges. Last time I was there, you could still buy 2 5-pound bags for $5. I'm trying to remember. You know. So I eat tons. When I'm in California, boy, do I eat oranges. Good God Almighty. Because they're almost free. So then the guy that you're buying them from, he have his regular spot. He get used to you and he know what you like. And you know the Latino guy, pretty soon, y'all on a roll. And I may say, well, let me have 4 bags today. You know, okay, I give you 4 bags for the price of 3. You know, stuff like that. Which I tell them half the time, no, I'll pay full price. Because for me, I done got used to paying this price over here for oranges, not California prices, where they go out with a truck, drive 50 miles out of town, 100 miles, and they fill up their truck with these big, you know, and they pull the truck up and they just get them plastic bags and they fill up, maybe they buy all of those oranges for $100. And then they sell them to you, and after they've emptied the truck out, they've made $500 or $1,000 or whatever, and they off and rolling. Down here, a bag of oranges, a big bag, is $8 or $10, and a small, orange here, I saw at the thing, they're $1 a piece. Orange. They're $1 a piece. So I don't eat oranges that much here. That's all. No, because I can't digest an orange costing that much. When if I get it right, I can go buy. They got when you get to New Mexico on back, they got orange trees and grapefruit trees, and they're like right there in the street. And everybody not everybody, but a lot of people in California, they have orange trees and lemon trees in their yard. Yeah. So I have lemon trees in my yard. Here, lemons cost, my poor lemon tree has so many lemons. If I had that tree here, I could make about $1,000 off that one little tree. Yeah, because that's what they charge you 50 cents or $1 for lemon. Yeah, lemons. Anyway, let me move on. It's a historical update. A lot of things that we are talking about, have been talking about, we've been prepared for those things. But other people have not been prepared. And those people that we all know, it's like the headlights of history have caught them out in the middle of the road. You know, like the animals, you can see their eyes. And they freeze. That's the way the world is. The world is caught in the headlights of history. Okay. Now, when you see us, though, what are you looking at? You're looking at As-Sabiqun. When you see us, this is not bragging, you see an institution of people, a small number of people that have prevailed over the onslaught of the United States government, including all of its federal, state, local, and all of their institutions. We've survived that right here. There's cars out there. They pull whatever they want when they want to, and the cars don't work. They're perfect cars, but you go out there and they don't drive. I wait every season to get rid of them. But those, I know they run, so I know all of them run. I know my truck run. but it's not holding water. The truck run good. I've been had that truck since, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I sure have. The truck is in 97. It was only 5 years old. Good God Almighty. I didn't have that truck because I used that truck to build on to all of these buildings. So I started building on them in 2004 and 5. Technically, that's a long time ago. And all I did with the truck was go to the supply places and buy supply and come back. Truck runs perfect, but it don't hold any liquid. I'm not going to jump up and down. The other cars out there, once they deliver the car, you drive around a certain amount, and then the car stops or what have you, and it was timed to stop after you go maybe 100 miles or so. And then you would be stuck out there, and you'd have to either tow it back here or leave it out there or what. We've left expensive cars out on the highway, just left them. And I know they run perfect because they just, we've left several very expensive cars, not very expensive. They were cars that ran very good. They were good cars. Most of them Volvos. And we got that kind of car because they got good mileage, and the people would help us buy them, that they'd have good mileage left on them. And we would, you could tell if you drive a certain kind of car, when you get another one like that, you could tell, oh, shoot, this thing got another 50,000 miles without nothing. I ain't going to even change the oil on it, I know. And maybe you don't. And you can look at that, you're adding 50,000 miles on it, unless the government pulls some little switch loose. But it don't make any difference because that's why you bought so many. And you just may not buy anything new, because if you had a new car and you drove off the lot, drove down the street, and the car stopped, you would be mad. And you couldn't leave it on the side of the road. Huh? Yeah, no, that's what expendable cars are. That you have them all around and you drive them. Sometimes if it's stopped, you don't leave them all the time, but there's enough times, pack up and hit the road, because that's what we have adjusted to our environment, is what I'm saying. We know we live in a historical reality, a historical period. We've well adjusted to it. But not only have we adjusted, everybody around us with their vision have adjusted too. They know what's going on. This is not a secret. When we go out to different places, you can tell that people know us and they know basically what's going on. Right? We don't have to tell people who we are. We've been around long enough to know, and then half of the people are going to come up and speak to us and say something and let you know that they got an idea about, and they give you that look, but man, basically what that look stands for is this: man, y'all some bad niggas, man. To stand that stuff, we wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. You know, that's what they're saying. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because I have a family. And I like things I can count on. I can count on starting my car. I can count on this and I can count on that. And I know that you can't do that. That's what they're thinking. You can't count on certain things. But there's certain things, the major things, I can count on almost 100%. Well, what is that makes you so happy? I can count on the United States government behaving like the United States government. I can count on that. I know they can't help it. A kangaroo has to do, excuse me, scam likely. Is that you? What kind of scam you got? What kind of scam you got today? Yeah, this is scam likely, isn't it? Who is this?
Hello.
What did you say?
Hi, my name is Jimmy and I'm calling you on the behalf of Pepco. How are you, sir?
You called me on behalf of Pepco. What do you want to talk about?
Sir, this call is about your heating and cooling system. I'm with the HVAC efficiency program, and the reason of my call is to inform you that starting tomorrow, we will have an approved certified HVAC technician in your area. So he will provide you free of cost inspection of your heating and cooling system and show you how you can minimize your energy bill.
What
So
did
do
you
you
say
remember
your
how
name
old is
was?
the heating and cooling system?
What did you say your name was? What did you say
My name is Jimmy.
your name is Jimmy? You know what, Jimmy? You sound like Abdul Rahman. You sound like Kurishi. You don't sound like no Jimmy. So tell the truth. What's
My name is Jimmy.
your name is Jimmy? Jimmie or Jimmy? That type of Jimmy, like James? Tell the truth. Your name is James.
J-I
Come on, you can't even spell it. I'll tell you. See, that's what I thought. Well, I thought this is a scam. I'm having a program right now, so you'll call me.
Sir, this is not a scam. Sir, listen to me. Sir, this is not a scam. Let's set the appointment with us. If you found that we are guys a scam, let's set the appointment.
You got to learn how to speak it. I tell you, I can't hardly understand you. I tell you, I can't. You're talking so fast, I can't. And I know how to understand people like you. Well, that was Jimmy. Anyway, so dear believers, we laid out years ago kind of where we wanted to fit in all of this pattern. We wanted to be a chronicler, a historian, archivist, and a documentalist. That means that we wanted to chronicle the historical reality. We have chronicled literally everything that's been going on around us over the last decades. We've been especially accurate since 1986. That's over 35 years ago. That's a while back. And the historical process means that somebody had to hopefully be alive that would keep a detailed, accurate account of what we have had to face, or reality, what we would have to face. And we say we because it was clear to us way over 30, 35 years ago that there was nobody in our environment willing to go through what we were going to go through in order to acquire the knowledge and the hikmah that it would take. Who's going to put up with all the stuff that we have had to put up with to chronicle that? Nobody. We already knew that long time ago. And if you read from 1981, 79, 80, 81, all of that, we talked a lot about longevity. Longevity. We talked about protracted struggle. And we have been practicing that protracted reality. I'm telling you that we've chronicled, we've historicized, and we've archived. We've archived on cassette tapes, CDs, DVDs, written. All of that is part of what we knew. First of all, once you gain a certain amount of knowledge, you will be very fortunate if you can select the part that you're going to play in the struggle. You select it. When you select the part, that means you're more willing to accept the responsibility, because you say to yourself, when you look in the mirror, I have selected this part. I have chosen this part that I'm going to play. And you've read enough, studied enough to have a very good idea of what it's going to take. If you travel that way before, you know where the hills and valleys are already on the highway. You know at what time of the year you're going to travel from here, say, to California, so you know what highways are going there. And you know, after you've been that way so many times, you know what highway you're going to take. You're going to know where the big cities are. You're going to go around those cities. So if there's any traffic jam, it won't bother you. You just go around the city, right? And join up with the highway at another time. Or if there's an I-70 out there and it's going to be blocked up, maybe in Kansas City or one of those places, well, there's another highway right out there. Go right along with 70. It's called 40. You ever seen it?
Yeah.
40. 40 goes east and west. 40 goes all the way from here to Salt Lake City. Yeah, no, 40 goes right along. It goes the same way I-70 does. Just like Route 1 goes the same way that that 95 goes. Route 1 is the old 95. Just like I-40 is the old I-70. You see what I mean? The old state highway. And every highway system is like that. When they put these new highway systems in, right? Because the old highway systems always went from city to city. And the big interstate may go from city to city, but it tries to have the 295 and this to get you around the city. To get you around the city. During the old days when there wasn't much traveling and what have you on highways, you went right through from city to city. So Route 1 goes right here through Baltimore. If you're down, all the way down at the bottom of this United States, guess what you'll find? Route 1. If you go north to New York, guess what you'll find? Route 1. If you go all the way up to Canada, guess what you'll find? Route 1. That's the old highway system. Yeah, when it wasn't too many cars, so you drove from city to city. You didn't drive too many places. You just, you caught the train, or you just cars anyway. Now, so you can remember there's a word we always use a lot: anticipation. If we decided to practice this longevity and what have you in dealing with the government of the United States, that means we can anticipate what we're going to deal with. That's why I told the brother this morning, he was talking, and I told him, I said, I'm happier than I've ever been before. He was taken aback a little bit. He didn't want to believe it because he'd heard a lot about what's going on around here, and he couldn't imagine that I would really be happy because he hears about, what goes on. So Happiness has a lot to do with if you select a good health program, that means diet and exercise, you get enough sleep, you know what I mean? You're going to be pretty much comfortable. You can expect to, and you don't consume alcohol, you don't do, so you expect, unless you have some chronic illnesses, if you're normal, you would expect to feel good or feel a certain way. And then there's enhancing feelings. When you exercise every day, okay, you get old as shit, but you get slick. You know, like when you get tired of boxers, some of the best boxers tell me, hey man, that holding is serious. And when you get he said the worse shape you in, the more you're going to hold. So if you get a fight too soon, you're going to be holding and resting. You get slick though. You ain't going to let the guy go so he can pop you upside the head. You're going to hold him till you done got a little rest. Then you're going to do like Muhammad Ali, brrr, then hold him again. Okay, so that's what my friend told me, because I'm around a lot of boxers. He used to be middleweight champion just about, but he's the one, he was George Foreman's manager. He brought him back. George Foreman weighed 320 pounds. At that time, he trimmed him down and got him back to winning fights. And at the end, when George was 47, he knew it was time to quit. Why? Because he could see a punch coming, but he couldn't get out of the way. So he already knew that. He says, time to quit. I'm taking too many punches now, and I can't get. I can see what's happening, but it's coming too fast for me to get out of the way or counter. Now, with us, our organization, when we chose the job that we have, when we selected it, we knew what highways we was going to be traveling along. So therefore, if you know what highway you're on, and you've been on it before, you know where the ups are, where the downs are, where the exits are. You know. Like you travel far enough across this country enough time. It's just like if you go up and down the highway enough times and you take your family or what have you, after a few trips, you know where the cheap gas is. Right? Yeah, you know where the cheap gas is. You say, zoop, I'll pull off over here, and I'll save 10 cents a gallon, which now that's a nice little piece, right?
That's a big deal right now.
It's a big deal. But you know where the cheap gas is. It may be way over around the corner, but you've been through that town so many times, you know where it's at. Okay. The same thing about hassles, bad responses, challenges, fitna. You almost know where they're at. And when they come, you're prepared for them. That's the beauty of longevity. And longevity gives you that type of continuation where I plan to be here. This is not a overnight stand. So I'm going to be here. And therefore, if I'm going to be here, they're going to do that. And if they're going to do that, then I'm going to have to be able to deal with that. And in what ways will I deal with it? Guess what? Now the ball's in my court. I know this is how the game is played. Now, what am I going to do with that? When we talk about boss man on the line, that means we've played this game so long. If we started this phase of the struggle, let's say over 50 years ago, or this phase, the Masjid phase, like say over 40 years ago, and you come out with the same basic ideas and approach that we have now, you're going to have to be a pretty tough customer to survive that long. There's no way around it. Especially when you look around, nobody else has survived it. When you go through certain things, you look around for people you can identify with. Yeah, they kill them, they run them crazy, they run them broke, they do all of that. But if you plan to go that way and you've had enough experience, then you have to plan. When you're going on that journey, going to be a long time. You're going through different You're going to have to pack up certain things to take with you. The main thing you're going to have to take for longevity is vision, courage, and attitude. You have to have a certain attitude. I'm going to respond to this stuff in a certain way. You can't be one of our friends, good man. He been through the same type of struggle. But he had a certain attitude. He was a little high-strung. And he didn't have one of the things that we call a lot humor. He didn't have a whole lot of that. I mean, whatever it was, he was not going to do that. And it was easy to predict what would happen to him because the enemy will study what you have, what you're prone to, and if you're not going to take certain things, well, that's just what he's going to do. Okay. Well, this is different. It's not a point of not being high-strung, not having an ego, because the ego defends yourself and what you're doing. It's defensive. So your ego is well developed. People tell you, you ain't nothing. Your ego says, oh no, shoot. Hey, I'm the smartest guy in town. If people tell you you're the dumbest man in town, your ego tell you it's exactly wrong. I'm not only not the dumbest, I'm the smartest nigga around here. So a well-developed ego is good when people are always trying to beat you down. But it can be overly developed to where I'm not going to take you can't make fun of me, you can't harass me, you can't do. Well, a well-developed ego that you can almost say anything you want. I ain't going to do that. And then the other thing is, they'll take you all the way up to the last stop. And that was an analysis that this man and the other man are very similar. Their class of people, they're similar. They feel good about themselves. They have, they feel, basically they feel that I am somebody. I'm somebody. I already know that. If I wasn't nobody, I couldn't do this, that, and another. And I can add and subtract, so I already know that. That's what they would be saying. So you can't tell me you are nobody. But the ability to know that and deal with it and it's a gift to just relax with it. That there's some people that you would not assault. They wouldn't even let you get close because they got a team that would, if they catch you thinking about it, they would move on you right away. Okay, so the type of assault that I put up with, the average person couldn't do it because their ego would not allow it. Well, there's a part of ego that's satanic. And if you're out of control, that means the shaitan is in control. So he can't let him. Okay? So you might allow yourself to be unbelievably brutalized. That's what people would call it. But you respond in the way you want. Now, in the long run, what happens? In the long run, you run the people and the system crazy because they run out of line. They don't have anything else to use. Yeah, because they just run out. Then they begin to look like fools. You can get them to manage so well, and you can have pictures of them standing by watching as you being arrested by police that they didn't call, and they're standing there looking like a damn fool that everybody know, and there it is. That's the slickest thing you can do. It's a wonderful trap. When you can trap everybody, you can trap the Negroes, you can trap the government. Hey, man, you could trap the monitors. Everybody's trapped. You got to have long time patience and durability. You have to have it in order to do that. And at the same time, the element of kindness. You have to be okay. That takes a little work. And if Allah didn't give it to you naturally, you just, hey, a lot of people, they're not going to, That's why certain people, the easiest thing to get black people to fight each other is one group go do something to the other group. And then the niggas, I ain't going to take that. They'll take it from the police, but they won't take it from another Negro. And they'll go kill the Negro. And then he'll kill his cousin pretty soon. Boss man can step back. We swore we would never fall into that elementary, first grade, 99% of the time work, dumbest trap in the world. It's a trap there with all the stuff in it, and it has written on it, trap. It's the guy that's what it's written on, trap. It's a trap. And it always, and then you go right, and you say, oh, but it's got something sweet right there, so I must. And then you get trapped. Okay. Being trapped in the headlights of history. What this means to us is that we're going somewhere. We're out on the move, and in the middle of the night, all of a sudden, the biggest animals in the woods get trapped in the middle of the highway with the bright lights on. And then they freeze. They don't believe you could do it because they're used to the government. You don't believe the government's a damn fool? Turn on the news right now. If you don't think they're going crazy, turn on the news. The United States government told its allies to isolate Russia, to cut it off, and don't take none of its wheat, and don't take. Everybody needs bread. The whole world needs bread. It produces between Ukraine and Russia, and fertilizer. Let your crops just wither up, and don't buy any fertilizer. Oh, you buy a lot of petrol, a lot of gas and oil. Don't buy it. And the oil prices, it haven't went below $100. It's low right now, 109, 110, $12 a barrel. That's low. That's from the last, that's low. Why are the people going crazy today in London? Because inflation. What's inflation? Well, it costs. Now, let me say this, and this is cheap. If gas is $5 a gallon in the United States, and here, okay, now that means in California, it's what is $6 or $7.
That's the check. It was $7.
$7. Okay, now you know why Japanese cars and English cars are fuel efficient? You know why?
They're on the island.
They're all the island countries, and they're fuel. They got to import. They don't. Good God Almighty! They're just making American cars semi-fuel efficient. When I drove them big Cadillacs, we got 9 miles in the city and 11 miles out in the country per gallon. They have a 4-barrel carburetor. The carburetor is this big. It has 4 jets. That's what 4 little, jets. And and if you wanted to do a little racing, which a lot of people would do, they would take a big engine and put it in a small car, and then they would put 2 4-barrel carburetors on a car. That's 8 barrels. Or three deuces, they call it. So that would be 3 2-barrel carburetors. And when you mash on the gas, you could almost see the thing goes just like. But that's when gas is cheap. The point is this: they're instituting all of those on people that cannot stand. The U.S. has inflation, but the U.S. still has some of its own petrol. It still has more petrol, from Texas and all over, than other people do. And gas is still in California $7 a gallon. When gas is that high or petrol is that high, that means the big trucks that used to take $1,000 along with them, or they have $1,000 on their account, now they have to have $3,000. Or they get out in the woods and can't go anywhere. Because them big things use up a lot of gas. They had them big tanks on each one. Somebody told me they had 100 gallons. They was either 50 gallons a piece, or I don't know. When you step up on the thing, those big tanks are, yeah, tanks. Yeah. Good God Almighty. In other words, you got to remember now, look at it. The U.S. is telling everybody to cut off your supply of petrol and all that from Russia. Cut off your supply. You stop buying wheat and everything and grain from Russia, right? You stop buying it. And Ukraine can't import any, but they're both big because they're at war. So technically, Russia's going to take all of what they can from Ukraine and send it on. Yeah, I mean, it's just natural, all right? With all of that going on, the U.S. is forcing its allies to go along with its policy. And everybody else is saying right now, we can't afford it. Boss man, we can't do it. And then, more important than that, is bundles of currency. So if you're cutting off Russia, if you're cutting off Iran, right, and you're cutting off Venezuela, first of all, those are the biggest oil producers in the world. Then you have to come back 2 weeks later and tell Venezuela, hey, I know we've been kind of screwing you around, but hey, can we get a little oil from you guys? You know, and it's insanity. That means there's no strategic planning is the best thing. There's no orderly planning. There's no process that A leads to B, B leads to C, and at least somewhere in the alphabet. Right? What they have is A leads to 14. And 14 leads to Q. You see what I mean? Yeah. It don't fit, it don't have, that's their planning. And everywhere you look, I'm telling you today, in Colombia, the left-leaning guy won the presidency today in Colombia. So that means now Colombia, Nicaragua, Venezuela, Brazil, what's the name is coming back in Brazil? Yeah, he's coming back. He'll be back. Because the guy they got, Bolsonaro, is a damn fool. He's just burning up all the Amazon. And they said, hey, man, well, if you guys give us some money, we won't burn it down. Well, you idiot, you're cutting our throats, but you're cutting your throat. You're going to die before we do. It's insanity. You see what I mean? Okay. I would like to go through this stuff detail by detail, but here's the point. Everything we've talked about is materializing right now. We haven't been wrong on anything. We haven't been out of tune. We haven't been out of step. We have been correct. History is going the way we forecast. Not because we sent it that way, but because we anticipated. That means that we looked at all the environmental circumstances that's going on in the world, and we anticipated that's the way it's going. That's all we did. Now, other people, they can take what they want. They can say, now if it was Mr. White Man on a TV show, The Great Analysis, or Kissinger or somebody, they could listen to him. But because I ain't saying because we black, but that's what it is. He's a nigger and he can't know nothing, and it don't make no difference how right he is. He can be right all day long. Well, I tell you, if you're going to bet on them people and you ain't going to bet on me, and I'm right all the time and they always wrong, well, you know you headed with them. That's what it adds up to. It's insanity. His people is right let's say 98% of the time they right. So that means you can bet on what they're doing all the time because they gave 98 out of 100 times they're going to win. And the only way you could lose if those out of the 98 they lose the first two. But all you got to do is borrow the money and the rest of whatever you borrow, and you bet it the next 98 times they're going to hit. Well, you can't lose. Anyway, that's if you had bad luck. Historical update from As-Sabiqun, the model, the example. We have went out of our way to be a model of diligence, longevity, stickability, viability, accuracy, and that's what we've been. That's what we are. When you look at us, that's what people see, unless they're blind. Okay. Therefore, we have the right, and this is not bragging, we have the right and we have the responsibility to select carefully the routes that we're going to take and the routes we're going to recommend during this period of time. Because the people that everyone is listening to are not analyzing correctly. They're making analysis based on how I want it to be. An immigrant wants America to be the land of the free and the home of the brave because he's left everything behind, and when he wants it to be that, okay, for his job and all that, yeah, you get here and you get a job and everything. But if you notice a lot of the names that people are getting killed a lot now, you hear a few African names dropped in there. So the African immigrants are beginning to realize, well, we look just like them. They don't know we immigrants. So before he can find out, he won't know till he done shot me. Well, it is, right? And what to know that I'm on the home team. I'm with y'all. And I don't have enough sense not to reach over in my glove compartment with the police back there because he's going to shoot me. Well, no, they think that they heard what America was and they forgot. They did forget, but they're remembering now. Because you notice the names now, they're mixing enough of those names, Brother Ooga Booga and Sister So-and-so, that they from back home. So they're finding out one thing. And their children are different than the people in high school and the ones that are going to college now. Their parents came here. A lot of people we see at all the places we go. The older Africans in their 40s and 50s, their children in the university now. So their children are technically African Americans. They are Africans, immigrants. But their children live this experience here. They live the experience of an African in America. Okay. In the old days, the parents, that diligency and that willingness, they had it so hard overseas that anything they encountered here was easy and sweet. But their kids are not like that. They read the Constitution, they said, hey, hold it. You can't do that. We got a right to, we're Americans. Okay. So, the stuff that we put up with, like if we have a $5,000 water bill, okay, So it's 4,000. It'll be 5,000 in a minute because it keeps going up. They can keep it, you know. Okay. Why we'll run a hose from here right over there. Anything we need to do, we'll get it. We'll have it over there. And if we need to make tea and coffee, we'll have a big pot of water. We'll pour all the things, and we'll have a nozzle. You want to take a bath or a shower? You got warm water right down there. You could make it just the way you want, and you stick that hose through the window, and guess what? Whoosh! Simple as that. It's simple. When we go to hearing a court, we're going to tell them we're not paying over $5,000. You must be crazy. We're not going to pay that. And this is how that happened. We're not paying that. And we don't care what you do, whether you like it or not. But you can forget that. Not only we're not doing it, but right now we actually don't have it. Not to waste. And then all those barriers they put up. How is it that every time Allah find a way for us to pay all of these bills and people will steal your stash of money or they'll do all of that over and over again? That's Allah. It's Allah. And plus, we've been doing it so long that we like the people that's doing it. Now, that's the difference. We like the people because you can train yourself. And you know what the people are, how they've been trained and everything. So you know what they're missing. And they're going to be missing a lot because once you get a chance to deal with all of these things, you actually know what happiness is. And some people say happiness is going fishing. They got the things on it, right? Some people, for us, happiness is struggling fi sabilillah, in the way of Allah. That's what happiness is. Why? Because it is. And the hadith says about contentment. Contentment, the hadith is that you should choose struggling in my cause as your leisure, as your fun, as your hobby. If you do that, I'm going to take care of everything. Don't you worry about a thing. And if you don't do it, you ain't going to never get enough money. You ain't going to never get enough rest. You're going to be working all the time and you ain't going to have, you won't have enough money. But if you do this, you won't have but 50 cents and that'll be sufficient for you. Well, it don't say exactly that, but that's what it means. I'm going to move toward a close, but I have technically had, I'm just saying this, sufficient amounts of money at an early age. So I know what wealth is like. I know what it feels like. But I also have learned what contentment is, what happiness is, what stability, and it wasn't present at that time. With youth, with all that money, with everybody waving at you and telling you how, it's just like a movie star. Why ain't they happy? They got all the same stuff. Something is wrong. Hey, man, the people don't know what happiness is. It's just like the hadith about heaven and hell. The people get a chance to look over in heaven, and the angels say, "Oh, ain't nobody look over in hell. There ain't nobody going there." Good God Almighty, boy, that's bad. Then they show what's surrounding it: tenders, cutie pies, everybody waving at you and clapping in the hands and all the thing, right? That's surrounding all of that. Then they say, "Oh, I don't think nobody gonna miss that." And then they show you paradise. What is it surrounded by? Police, informers, people pulling your wires loose in your car and all of that. That's heaven. Nobody wants that. They don't want it. They're trained not to want it. But that's what it is. It's a wonderful disguise. Okay. But now, Sabiqun, people go out first, people accept the challenge, and they're also a model in their example. And remember, the same ayat we use for Eid al-Adha all day. Inna Ibrahim kana umatan qanitan lillahi wa lam yakun min al-mushrikeen. Ibrahim was a ummah, all by himself. That's what the technical is saying. Because he's the father of monotheism. Everybody else was polytheists, so in fact, he had a pretty good job. His father was like the head idol man. It was like Billy Graham or some other big preachers, T.D. Jakes. That was his daddy. Right?
Yeah, that is true.
Chief idol, he said, "Man, look at here." And so he selected another alternative, another way, another method, and that produced unlimited access to the unity of Godhead. And whatever this foolishness is producing, I never even thought that this level of, let's call it, I'm going to just call it happiness because I don't know what else to call it. Happiness, stability, I didn't think it was possible because I had everything that they said would make you happy, and it wasn't happening like that. I wasn't sad. That's sure I wasn't sad. But it ain't like this. It's a type of contentment. And then if a person don't do those type of things, he'll be working from now on and he'll never be happy. And never be contented. Okay, let me speed up a little bit here. I'm just going to be brief on these last two statements. This comes from well-studied behavior patterns. We've been studying what we've been doing all along. All of these, whether it's notes or books, we keep up on what we're doing. Even if somebody steal it, well, if they steal these, it'll be here, there. It's already, they can't do it. And plus, when they steal a whole notebook, it's okay. Because I'm going to make another notebook. And if I read that notebook, it's like reading, no matter how far I go back, it's the same thing, but it's evolved. The only thing you can see in that is the evolutionary pattern. It ain't doing that dummy no good because he's stolen some of my whole books with all the stuff in it. It ain't doing him no good. He's the biggest idiot that they could, and when I would leave and go run and I was at the Masjid, they could read all of my stuff. They'd go right in, they'd read it all the notes, everything. They listened to all the lectures. And they're buffoons. I mean, and I'm going to move toward a close. That crew in Oakland is the biggest, and here, the biggest bunch of, I ain't going to call them clowns and buffoons, but they're so out of it that they've missed the boat. I don't know how they tie their shoes. I don't know how they do nothing. They missed it. They just missed the boat, the whole show. They missed it. And here's why. They've listened to the white man. They work for the white man. And the white man is stupid at this time. See, when you're on the way up, you can do everything. When Allah schedules you to go up, you're going up. It don't make no difference how many mistakes you make. You could kill all the Indians, kill all the buffaloes. It ain't going to do nothing until it gets to a certain thing. And then all of that stuff is going to come back. But when you was on the way up, hey, you can't be stopped because Allah done wrote this, the niggas going up. That's it. But when Allah write and the nigga is going down, and you can't stop it. We have tried with this, I call him dumb boss man. So boss man, we'll help you out. Just do this, that, and other. Won't do it. Won't do it. Because I could say they're stupid. And the stuff that the teammates have, they're still running around giving them dumb lectures to people for no reason, and the world is falling apart. It ain't got a few cracks in it. This boy here is falling apart, and they still running around just like our Negroes, the ones that felt bad about them. They feel bad. Nigga, what's wrong with you feeling bad? You feel bad because of sissy, the people is sissified, or else they would stand up for the truth. If they wasn't sissified, they'd stand up for their brothers in Palestine and Yemen and everywhere else, right? They're Muslims. They know what everything is saying. They're not standing up. So you gonna feel bad when they reject you? Huh? Hey, their rejection, they reject us too, but they really, really reject us. Right? I mean, they not only reject us, they ignore us, and it makes us happy. Keep on rejecting because we know we're doing the right thing. A few things are in that national place within the struggle. So there's a national or natural place in this struggle. And we're happy with that place in this struggle that Allah done hooked us up with. And we're happy to do that. Because it's not a big secret. We know with our behavior, if Allah wasn't protecting us, we wouldn't be protected. Boss man could unleash, which he does. Boss man unleashes everything on us that he even thinks about putting on somebody else, and it just bounce off. Don't have no effect. It don't have no effect. That's the only thing I can say. And then the other stuff that they do, I don't know. It makes people look like Laurel and Hardy or something. I don't know if you ever saw Laurel and Hardy. It's just a comedy team. The old fat guy and the real skinny guy, they used to call them Laurel and Hardy. Stanley Laurel and Oliver Hardy. It was a comedy team from back in the 30s and the 40s, stuff like that. You're kind of young, you wouldn't remember. But it was ridiculous. These people here, now you got to remember, they had a chance, all this stuff, but they took Boss Man's. See, they never seen nobody deal with Boss Man like we deal with him. And they were certain that when Boss Man's going to finish off Imam Musa, Boss Man's going to, and they college educated, and they thought that that's what Boss Man do. He did it to everybody else. He did it to Malcolm, he did it to everybody. But not us. And we have a good attitude. It just so happens that when Allah want to hook you up, He hook you up with the combination that keeps you up. Okay, the Sunnah of Allah, history, natural laws, all on our side. We'll make an introductory flyer. We'll write it tonight, and we'll have it by the weekend. Tomorrow, we'll do some cooking and some other stuff. We can try to contact New Hampshire Avenue. What's that?
Oh, MCC.
MCC, and then there's one more. Oh, Darul Hijra. We'll try to contact them both and see which one can we come and do. Do the food. The food is working fine. We know it's the right thing to do because how you feel about it. You know what I mean? That's really when you go, oh no, I got that covered. Okay. But I would think we only have until, the 9th or 10th for Eid? Okay, all right. That means we got another 3 weeks at the most? Okay, so that means we got to do 1 week at Darul Hijra, 1 week out at MCC, and we may do 1 more week out at our friends PGMA because they're close and we're making a lot of friends out there. So when we come, it's going to be interesting to see how well we do it doesn't make a difference. Because why be greedy and want to get paid twice for the same thing? We're already getting paid by giving. Look, Allah gonna hook us up. Allah done always hooked us up. There's nobody, all the stuff that's happened to us over the years, unbelievable. People would think you're lying. This nigga's lying. I know you're lying. You can't stand that stuff. But it's all happened. That's the stuff we know about. I would say is 7 or 8 times as much in the background. Okay, so there's a couple of innovations we're going to do. Have you got the waffle thing yet?
Yeah, the new one's downstairs.
Perfect.
I haven't tested it out yet, but...
No, don't worry about it. We trust if the white man put it in a box and sent it to us, I know it's going to work fine. I'm just joking. If it don't, we got another one, we go right down. Here's the thing. We got plenty of chicken already, but we're going to get more. They got things called chicken nuggets and chicken. We're going to cut all the chicken off the bone. And we're going to we're going to fry or bake. I think we might fry. And we're going to call them chicken strips. I mean, it'll be big. You know, all up that meat that's on them. They're going to be nice strips. But we're going to have a whole pan of chicken strips. We batter them up. And we're going to cook. We're going to have chicken strips. Because for one table, we want to have chicken and we have the little foam stuff to put on the waffles. You know, the little, what is it, the white stuff?
Yeah, stuff just, talking about whipped cream?
Whipped cream, yeah. Sometimes you be forgetting. Right, I know. But no. Just imagine, we'll have whipped cream. So like if we have one of our tables where the people can go right away and they can get waffles, chicken strips, or whatever other meat we have. But we'll have that there. They'll have waffles, chicken strips, spray a little bit of stuff on there, nice hot syrup. Then they can go sit down and eat, you know, before they come through and get the eggs and potatoes and all of that. So that always works pretty good. So one of the tables, if we have tables for the sisters, table for the brothers, and we have one table with all that, with the light stuff on it, where they can come, no matter if they're hungry, they can come right through and go right to the chicken strip line and the waffle line, you know, and we'll put a lot of nice, tasty stuff in the waffles. But, what else? You know, the other thing, people think it's a big deal that we give away, you know, food and everything. We've been doing it all along. That's why you've never seen us needy. I mean, wait a minute. We're always needy, but you ain't never seen us where we need it out. Our tongue is hanging out our mouth and we, you know, about famished. We always got a room full of food, and we always got, so our cup runneth over. Why would we need some extra so-and-so? That's insanity. And it's insanity. And who would want to live one of them sweetie pie lives where you don't have no challenges? Now, especially, look, this stuff is addictive. I never talk about it. But when you get to boxing with Boss Man and messing around, you start liking it. And that's why we make fun of him sometimes. Boss Man, good God Almighty, boy, he's a sad joker, which he is. But now we're having kind of remorse because when you look at a system in big decline, I'm not saying we feel sorry for it, but when you see the old white man running around acting silly and everybody laughing at him, you know, it takes the, you know, not the fun out of it, but that's a reality. I'm not saying they don't deserve that, because they have treated people, the bombings, the killings, the murders, the historical reality on the United States of America has got to be, from our research, the worst record in world history over a long period of time. There's been bad times like the Nazis killed some Jews and what have you, but that's only a short period in history. This boy here, he don't slow down either. And everybody hey man, is kicking in at the same time. So how could we not be grateful and thankful that we selected the right side of history to be on? Everything is going the way we've expected. They're having the strikes. They're running out of this. They're running out of it. Everybody's making fun of them. There ain't nothing they can say to us. We've survived. Not only survived, but we've thrived. Off of everything they did, we have thrived. And we use it as a stepping stone, as they say, instead of a stumbling block. Okay, so our next is a chronicle, historian, archivist. Have you saw any of those Chinese programs like the, yeah, okay. They had one on a great historian. Then that give you a feel. His family was killed trying to protect the books and the history. Okay, that's why the chronicler, historian, archivist, documentalist, and if you notice the great reverence they gave the people that kept those records and all those, whatever they call them, their type of libraries. Another thing I gained from that is that I could see from the hadith where they talked about that in the whole world allowed and raised 120,000 mundir, messengers, warners, and people like that. And then when you listen to what their people was given, they was given morals and ethics. All they great people, that's what they morals, ethics. And then the Tao Te Ching, the religious, well, Tao just means way, just like the Quran, Islam means way. Okay, I'll speed up. So when you see us, what do we want people to think? So we don't want people to see us as braggarts or anything like that. But in the light of Islam, we want people to see us as able. We're able to do what we're doing. We're competent, And it's good for them to see. If they see all the things we've been dealing with, they automatically see how we're dealing with it. Pretty soon they get a chance to put a value on those things. So when they see us, they don't want us to see us. We don't want them to understand what we're saying is we're bragging, we whooped the white man, although we're going to do a little bit of that. Because, that's what Allah gave us, the ability to make fun of ourselves and make fun of them. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the disabled cars, we'll get whatever we need. Are there any questions or any comments about anything that's been said? So tomorrow we'll be writing introductory, or tonight, maybe tomorrow, we'll write introductory flyers. I'll give it to you. And in time to make a flyer that we'll put in. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I can go ahead and get that out to either MCC or Drawbridge, or I guess.
Oh, yeah.
I write it up. You can get your approval on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, as we move out a little bit more, we would automatically, if people was coming, we would automatically have an introductory class. Introductory class combined with prayer class and all that to introduce people to Islam. Right now, we're meeting all the time, so there's no need for it. But as the need develop, we will definitely, all of those we've had before. Yeah, introductory classes. Because see, the stuff we're dealing right now is a little bit hard to swallow for new people. You know, a guy come around and does Islam sound great, man? Well, we have to, feed him milk and baby food at first. Yeah. Uh, I talked about all the new currencies. Well, I talked about that, but as I was saying, see, when you're going down, the system will produce everything that everybody else need to consolidate themselves. Example, the United States then sanctioned Russia, sanctioned Iran, is talking out his side of the mouth to China. So what is the United States doing? Forcing them together. That's why they all talking about bundles of currency. They got to because there's nothing they can do. And when Russia said you got to buy all this stuff in our currency, the ruble went straight up in the air. So also when you look through the phone and all of that, try to pick up on the doomsday sayers. How many people are beginning, how many lecturers and what are beginning to talk about the coming decline, the coming depression, the defaults. Almost everybody. It's a theme. It's a theme. It's everywhere. Everybody know about it except a few, which is the poor public. Okay. We've talked about the self-accelerated decline. That's what the United States is in. It's in the it's accelerating its own decline. Like we don't have to do anything to it. Defeat in Afghanistan. Everything that they did, instead of easing out, and the guy just closed down Bagram Air Force Base and left all $1 zillion worth of weapons behind, probably for them to fight against Iran, but they didn't do it, and they left with people only hiding and trying to hang on to the plane as it's going. You can't do any worse than that. That's technically worse than the people hanging on the helicopters in Vietnam. I don't know if you ever saw those films. From the top of the embassy.
Yeah, top of the embassy, you got the people hanging on.
Hang on. Drop, yeah. The U.S. tricked everybody that we're going to be here forever. We're going to take care of you. And then all of a sudden, they pack up and leave. And then they said, you're leaving us behind with them. You know what they're going to do to us? Hey, man, for people to get on them rickety boats, the boat people and all that, hey, man. But that's the way the boss man do everybody. Yeah. That's the way he's doing now. He wants all of Europe to starve themselves and to ruin their economy for him here. Okay. I guess that'll be it. If there's no questions, if there's no comments, we'll spend the next few days getting ready for this Friday. And after this Friday, we will start, since we have freezers. Well, after this week, by next week, we'll be into preparing for Eid. Yeah, although this is, see, we have to be prepared way ahead of time. And there's some things that will be fine. We can make the French toast and put it in. We can make the other stuff and put it in. We have a few freezers. So we'll put the stuff that needs to be frozen in the freezers. And then the other stuff that we do a week after next, it'll refrigerate fine. So we got a pretty good system so far. Do you have any recommendations or anything that you would like to add to any of this? Right.
The stupidity of the administration.
No, they're like
This is the first time sometimes governmental decisions
right.
impacting the stuff that I want to do. It's like, we got to do something about this.
No, but this is normal though. When a Nero fiddled while Rome burned, he wasn't really. He's just he was helpless. He wouldn't do nothing. He didn't know what to do. It's just like he was fiddling while, and this is America. That's why we have to do as much as we can to rescue or to soften the fall for the American people. Because on their schedule, they got it just like they do the stock market. Okay, let's build it up and then let it fall. Then we buy up all the stocks. Then we build up all the stocks again. Then when they get in with all their money, then we let it fall. They've been doing that for decades. Same old dumb. Okay, the American people, see, this time, and I'll close with this, that's why we want to have a record of stability and clarity and having an understanding behavior pattern, because the people are not going to have that. All the institutions, they're not going to trust them. So at least the Muslims know who we are. When everything falls apart, where you think they're going? They'll be right here with us. I ain't even worried about that. If they got any sense, they will. Okay. If they don't have no sense, let the people run over there with them. And they don't have no plan, no nothing, and they swallowed the Kool-Aid like, okay, let them go. But my feeling is that if we maintain our order and discipline and correctness, and this is a period when institutions offer you a lot too, that we're not going to what they call sell out. We're not going to buy it. We don't even want it. What's so magnificent about it, we don't even want it. That's the security, I guess, because most people, even with ethics and morals, if they've never had enough power, they think that might do it. We just haven't had enough. If they haven't had enough money, maybe we just haven't had enough. You know what I mean? So, huh? Of course they do. Just say, if I had more money, it would be all right. But they wouldn't. It wouldn't be all right because the people that have that, it's not all right with them. No. Just think about Hollywood. The people that look the best and have the most, they got houses with 3 swimming pools in Beverly Hills and 3 Rolls Royces and all kind of stuff. And they look physically appealing. They look pretty good. They got fan clubs. They got fan clubs. People, they saying, "Hey, you're all right with me," and they feel it. They crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna close with this. They make heaven look like hell because that's what's surrounded. They surround, right? And they make hell look like heaven. They doing that. They make the Hollywood or this, that, and other look. That's where to go. That's what to do. And it is hell. But people can't let go of it. And I'll close with this. It's like that thing that the monkey put his hand in this little trap, and it's got a banana in there, and he can't get his hand out because he won't let go of the banana. That means the people could be in paradise, they just can't let go of that vision, the false picture of happiness that they've been sold, and they can't swallow deep enough to say, I swallowed the lie. It's a lie. And now I accept it. As soon as they do that, they're going to be free. Okay. Thank you very much. Akula Kali Hala.